Howdy, hippies. Well, this week we are going to be addressing a very popular topic, but not necessarily something that people talk about very openly. And in fact, it's something that most people are rather ignorant of, and that's environmental crimes. Lots and lots of times, people don't even realize that they're breaking environmental law. And I don't mean things like pouring motor oil out on the back of your fence. You already know that's wrong. I don't mean like dumping, dirty needles in Bambi's water stream. What I mean is stuff involving your own property, stuff involving dumping on curbsides, littering, etc. The things that are more common for everyday life. Things you may not even realize you're doing, or you truly don't even know are wrong. Well, today, in a few minutes, you are about to see a presentation from Officer Kyle Lee, who works for the McLennan County Sheriff's Department in Environmental Crimes, but his is funded from the City of Waco Solid Waste. So he gets to sort of wear two hats. He gets to represent solid waste, take care of things involving environmental crimes in Waco, as well as also help out the entire county. So he is somebody who you can talk to and who will talk to us about all sorts of different issues. Sometimes people don't understand, and they say, what's the big deal about environmental crimes anyway? And then you get your standard hippie answers like, oh, it might hurt resources, or it might hurt water. And those are very true hippie answers, so don't quit saying those. But it also involves money, loss of property value. If people continue to dump things randomly just wherever they want to, it causes the loss of property to adjacent areas or to that. Hey, my house may not be like super uber mansion impressive, but still, I don't want you to toss trash in my backyard, because then my property value goes down even more, and I'm the person who then has to try and pay to clean it up. Well, that's not right. And so now, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next part of our presentation. We're going to wrap up with the Q&A session with Officer Lee, and here we go.
This presentation is for environmental crimes, about environmental crimes. I work for the Environmental Crimes Division for the City of Waco. That's me. I'm Detective Kyle Lee. I work for the McLennan County Sheriff's Office. I'm contracted to the City of Waco Solid Waste Services Division. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for approximately 11 years, and the past 6 I've been with the Solid Waste Office for the City of Waco doing their environmental crimes. There are 2 of us in the division for the entire city of about 120-some thousand people and roughly 40,000 customers for the solid waste division that we deal with daily. So we're here to talk about environmental crimes. And basically I'm going to talk about the levels and degrees of environmental crimes and how they affect the citizens for the City of Waco. We have, as every jurisdiction has, levels and degrees. We start with the lowest, which is a Class C misdemeanor. We have a Class B misdemeanor, a Class A misdemeanor, and a state jail felony. These levels and degrees are set up just for environmental crimes. Of course, you have a first degree, a second degree, and a third degree felony that we don't deal with in environmental crimes. Our highest is the state jail felony. Just to give you an idea of what some of these look like, your Class C misdemeanor, which as described here is any litter or solid waste which weighs 5 pounds or less or has a volume of 5 gallons or less. Scattered litter, someone throwing their debris outside their car when they're driving, that kind of thing, usually ends up with 5 pounds or less. It's a Class C misdemeanor, meaning it's a citation, although you can be arrested for a citation. A citationable offense, you can go to jail. Our next is our Class B misdemeanor, and as it states here, it is litter or other solid waste, which weighs more than 5 pounds but less than 500 pounds. The volume we don't get into too much, but it has a volume of more than 5 gallons but less than 100 cubic feet. We get into the volume when it comes to our things that are contained in drums or large containers. Just as an example, this young lady here is holding about 5 pounds of waste material there. That's enough to put you in handcuffs and take you to jail. And these laws that these levels and degrees that we're going over are for the state of Texas. So just to be a little more specific, we'll give you a couple examples here. This is a Class B misdemeanor. This was, I want to say it was about 180 pounds to 250 pounds, right in that range. And I always love pointing this out because just to the right of the debris in the picture is the garbage can for the resident who illegally dumped this material. People are not always bright when it comes to, you know, committing crimes. Our Class A misdemeanors are litter or other solid waste which weighs 500 pounds or more, but less than 1,000 pounds, has a volume of 100 cubic feet, or more but less than 200 cubic feet. That's a Class A misdemeanor. It doesn't look like much, but when you start examining the photo a little bit, you can see concrete in there. That shoots your weight up exponentially. Another example of a Class A misdemeanor. And again, there's another garbage cart right there by the sofa and computer monitors, all the wood, everything there. That one was about 600 pounds worth. So you're looking at a Class A misdemeanor. Our state jail felony is defined as litter or solid waste which weighs 1,000 pounds or more, but has a volume of 200 cubic feet or more, or is contained in a closed barrel or drum. Some of those, this one was one that I worked that was next door. It was a vacant lot owned by the city of Waco. And this fellow ran a concrete business and decided that he was going to dump the waste right next to his house. It's about 37,000 pounds of concrete and rebar and various wood and forms to make his concrete. And he thought he was justified in dumping it on the city of Waco. He and I did not become good friends. This is a closed barrel or drums. We've run into this behind old vacant businesses from time to time. We never know exactly what's in any of these closed containers. It becomes a hazmat issue. We have specialists. I've taken some hazmat courses to deal with this kind of thing. Just a piece of friendly advice: never open anything you find. You don't know what's inside. It could be detrimental to your health. Now, the way it differs, the levels and degree differ for your residents and residential consumers and your commercial entities. For a commercial entity, it's a Class A misdemeanor is as low as we go. And that's solid waste is disposed for a commercial purpose and weighs more than 5 pounds but less than 200. Or it has a volume of more than 5 gallons but less than 200 cubic feet. It starts out steeper and it continues up from there because you jump immediately from a Class A to a state jail felony if the litter or solid waste disposed for a commercial purpose weighs 200 pounds or more. So anything above 200 pounds and you're a business, automatic state jail felony. Now we have several penalties in the levels and degrees that we talked about. Our Class C violation is a citation. However, you can be arrested for that. An example would be if you throw down your cup on the ground, I could come along and write you a Class C violation for littering. You aren't happy with me for that, and you begin to use foul language with me, and someone walking by, if I've just, or any officers had just about enough being cussed at, we can ask the person walking by, are you offended by this language? If they say yes, you can go to jail right then and there for a Class C misdemeanor. So be careful with Class Cs. They're low violations, but they can put you in jail, and you get your picture taken and cuffed and fingerprinted, everything you get for anything above. We write citations on Class Cs, for the most part, on illegal dumpings. Our first citation is $295. It's a little bit steep, but the state says we can charge you up to $500. Our second offense is $400 ticket, $405, and our third offense is $515. Now the state can come along behind us and give you $500 more in fines. The city can fine you, the state can fine you. You can pay upwards of however many offense violations you have. You can pay thousands of dollars. If I'm the one dealing with you, you're not going to receive more than one citation. If I deal with you twice, I'm taking you to jail for a Class B misdemeanor at the very minimum. We try to be fair, but we have to be across the board fair. Our Class B violation is an arrest with a fine by the state not to exceed $2,000. 180 days in jail, or both. The fine, I try to specify that fine not to exceed $2,000 is what the state will impose. That's not what the private entity or government can impose on you. They can impose a fine, also $2,000. Our Class A is a fine not to exceed $4,000, up to a year in jail, or both. And our state jail felony is a fine not to exceed $10,000. Again, that's a fine by the state, and if the city wanted to, they could come behind you, behind the state, and add another 10 to it. 180 to 2 years in jail, 180 days to 2 years in jail, or both. And as with everything, keep in mind, I deal primarily with trash, oil, litter, but basically trash, you could have a felony on your record for the rest of your life because you decided to take your oil and pour it out on the roadside, or you decided to take your bag of trash and throw it out in any place other than an approved site, which would be your landfills or your personal receptacles. That's my presentation on what we do in the city of Waco. I know that it changes from area to area. Waco is at the forefront of the environmental division, or the environmental crimes division. They've been a pioneer in the state of Texas. Very few have come before Waco with their environmental activity, and more often than not, I've dealt with several other counties when they call and ask me, how do we go about setting up an environmental crimes program? It's because of Waco's cooperation with the McLennan County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, well now I'm going to do a little bit of a Q&A and ask a few questions that in my face-to-face classes are commonplace. Things that you might necessarily want to ask, or you might have some things that you want to know that I'm not asking. And if that's the case, we'll talk about how to deal with those questions here in a few minutes. But first, I want to thank you again for joining me today.
Happy to be here.
And let me just ask you first, I get asked this one all the time in class, etc. Can you illegally dump on your own land?
Yes, you absolutely can illegally dump on your own land. There are certain stipulations in the law that allow for temporary storage on your land, but in the state of Texas, if you have an open air land, property, open air, you can't just randomly take, I'm going to take 5 of my old cars and put it on the back lot, and I'm going to leave them there. Can't do that. Primarily, you're looking at the seepage of the oil and all the fluids of that vehicle into the groundwater, which is a big deal as far as our environmental crimes go. It's huge, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean that. The state therefore comes in and says you cannot run your own landfill on your property. Basically, you can't go out and just decide, I'm not paying for trash service, I'm just going to throw it back here on this property. No one comes on my property. It's private property anyway. I don't have to allow anyone on there. Well, what you have to also remember is there's Google Maps. I know our department has helicopters that fly, and if they spot it, they call me. That's all I need to go on that property. I have now probable cause to go on private property. So the long and the short of it is, yes, it's illegal to just randomly throw things on your own property.
Wow. Because a lot of times I'll have students say things like, well, we just dig a hole and and put our trash in it and cover it back up. They say, well, we don't have trash service. We live too far out, so we just dig a hole and we put our trash in there. What about instances like that?
The state frowns on digging a hole. That falls under your landfill statute that the state has come up with, that you cannot run your own landfill. You cannot dig and bury your own trash. Most cases where you don't have your garbage service available to you, you're allowed to burn the garbage in an enclosed, controlled burn. You can do that unless there is a burn ban on. And in most instances like that, and I've been called for illegal dumping on someone's private property where I've showed up and they've got it inside a concrete ring and it's a little high, and I ask them if they're using that or are they digging that out to bury it. No, that's my burn pit, and I do a controlled burn when there's not a burn ban, but there's a burn ban on right now. Okay, you have a nice day, I'll get out of your hair. You're doing nothing wrong. You can burn your trash. There are certain things they don't want you to burn because of the airborne factor of it. So tires, plastics, metals, things like that give off a certain toxicity that you don't want to burn. But never bury your own garbage. It's against the law, at least in the state of Texas, and they will hit you hard for that. Thousands of dollars that will come out of your pocket for doing it.
Thank you, because that usually is the one that is the most often asked.
Sure.
To say, well, it's my land, I can do whatever I want with it. And it's important for you to realize it might be your land now, but it won't always be your land.
That's right.
When you're dead and gone, your dirt's still there. Somebody may want to put a house on top of your landfill that you've acquired. Long story short, don't do it, or call local law enforcement if you live out of McLennan County and ask them the proper means of disposal. There's always an option.
And I'll give you a quick example of you made a statement there, and I'll just kind of address it quickly about you may want to sell that property. Someone may want to put a house on it. The city of Waco has had several landfill sites. One has been closed. When they close one of our landfills, and they're strictly monitored by the state, they remain monitored for 20 to 25 years after they close. And there's special liners and covers and all, and they do eventually sell that property off, and it's safe to build on at that point because they monitor groundwater, they monitor the gases, they go through an entire process, and we're into the millions of dollars worth of monitoring and just keeping an eye on that site, the closed landfill here in Waco. And when this landfill is currently active, they'll do the same thing when it closes. 20, 25 years, they have to monitor that. And the state has to come in and give it its stamp of approval to sell. So, like you say, if you're in your house and you've owned it for 60 years, you pass away, and you've been burying trash for years, the new owner comes in and buys it, they may not know that until they go to, I'm going to put in a new in-ground pool. And now the state's in charging that person for what you did during your lifetime. And it falls on that other person's shoulder. So it's kind of a good neighbor type policy too, as well as legally. You don't want to leave your baggage for someone else to take care of. Just
thank you.
A little off note there, but
no, perfect. That's the kind of thing that we all need to know. Next, what about things like apple cores or banana peels? You're out at a picnic somewhere, you finish your apple, there's no trash can around, and you toss it in the woods. Is that considered an act of littering or illegal dumping?
It's considered an act of littering, yes. And I get this quite a bit. I had a teacher from a local school ask me roughly the same thing. She said, when I'm driving down the road, I'll eat a banana going to school, and I'll just roll down the window and throw it out. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's biodegradable. Yes, it's biodegradable. Yes, it came from the earth, and it will eventually return, as we all will. But the law states that you can't throw things from your vehicle regardless of what they are. Biodegradable or not, you're still creating a public nuisance. For an extreme example, if you throw out your banana peel, you're going 65 miles an hour and you just kind of toss it up like that. It hits the windshield of the car behind you that in turn swerves, and they end up in the ditch. The banana peel will probably still end up on the ground, and yes, it will probably biodegrade at some point, but that person who just got beat up really badly in their car, probably not going to be as forgiving as you or I would for someone tossing out a banana peel. Mm-hmm. Best bet on almost anything is if you don't know, don't do it. I don't know if it's illegal to throw it out the window. Then don't do it. Mm-hmm. Because the way the law is written, and it states right up front in all of our books, where we have all of our statutes lined out for us, it states ignorance of the law is no excuse. So yes, I didn't know a lot about environmental crimes when I got into this field. And I didn't know a lot that I've talked about today. But I could have gone to jail had I done some of those things. And I couldn't say, sorry, didn't know. It's not an excuse. You'll go to jail just the same. You'll probably receive a citation for littering for throwing something out of your window, regardless of what it was. Mm-hmm. What it was doesn't matter so much as the act. The act is breaking the law. So,
thank you.
Sure.
What about in the case of cigarettes? Often I see where somebody will smoke, they'll finish smoking their cigarette, they throw it on the ground, snuff it out with their shoe. Is it any different in that situation?
No, it's absolutely the same thing. Most places that I know of now have gone to a non-smoking type of, even open-air environments are going non-smoking. It's better for your health and what have you. That's not what I'm here to talk about, but it's the same identical thing. It's a littering issue. And again, like we talked about, or like we stated earlier, you snuff it out and I come along and see you do it. Hey, there's a receptacle right there for that. I need you to pick that up. And you start cussing me again. Mm-hmm. You can go to jail for throwing out that cigarette butt. You can go to jail. You don't even have to cuss. I can just say, you threw that on the ground in front of me, turn around, put your hands behind your back, you're going to jail for a Class C litter violation. You can go to jail for a Class C citationable offense. Any offense you commit up to and including the first degree felonies. You can go to jail for a ticket up to a first degree felony.
Wow. I hear a lot of times it really has to do with intent and attitude.
Sure. I've run into it 100 times. You see someone do something, you say, hey, you know you just threw that down right next to a trash can. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I missed the can. I got it. Won't happen again. Then walk off. You have a nice day. Mm-hmm. However, you do have those people who just think this is... Look, cops are people too. They're not perfect. They have bad days. Sometimes they can be jerks, just like everybody else.
Sounds like professors.
It's a lot of folks, professors and students alike. We all have those issues. We have bad days. A lot of us are not the stereotype. We try to talk to people and, hey, there's no reason for all this. I've been yelled at, screamed at, cussed at while talking to somebody. Hey, look, I'm not yelling at you. Could you just bring down your tone a little bit? That's all I'm asking. Let's have a normal human conversation instead of an animalistic scream fest. That's not what I'm here for. So it's basically, attitude has a lot to do with it. There's only so much I'm going to put up with before it goes the wrong way.
And that's to be expected.
But that's also, I try to say that up front. Now listen, you're yelling, you're screaming. There's only so much of that I'm going to take. You need to calm down. I'm not yelling and screaming at you. Let's be adults and just talk. I know you're upset. That's fine. But not all cops are out to get you. Not all, it's not a stereotypical thing. Like most people come with that attitude because I asked you to pick up your cigarette butt. That, oh, you're just your average cop. You're out to get everybody. That's a jerk thing to do. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, attitude does play a big role in how most police are going to deal with you, no matter what the situation is.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. So, what if you're driving down the road and you have your truck? You have your crumpled can in the back of, let's say it's Dr. Pepper, since this is Waco.
Sure.
Your Dr. Pepper can flies out of the back of the truck. Same exact setting as before?
It's a little different, but it's the same result. You're going to, undoubtedly, you're going to be fined. You're going to be ticketed. Now, I have had cases, and I'll get back to that in just one second, where I've had people call me, hey, I just witnessed a can fly out of the back of a guy's truck going down the interstate. Well, thank you for being a good Samaritan. There's not much I can do. I'm 40 miles away right now, and by the time I get there, I'm sure that truck didn't pull over and say, oops, made a mistake, better wait for the police. However, if you're driving down the road, something flies out, I know that Waco has, and the county have have ordinances in place for unsecuring or unsecured loads. No matter what's in the back of your truck, I have fines set in place where I can pull you over and you fail to secure your load, no matter what it is, and I can write you a ticket for an unsecured load. It happens with brush, it happens with garbage, it happens with little things. Most of the time your little stuff is going to be littering more than an unsecured load, but there are certain things in place. And that's pretty much in all of our surrounding counties, it's pretty much the same.
So this might be a little bit random, but the giant gravel trucks you see with the not responsible for windshields, keep back 200 feet.
Correct.
Is that also if they have gravel flying off and hitting your windshield?
That is a finable offense. Most people don't know this. If this gravel truck going down the road puts this, I'm not responsible for windshield damage, stay back 200 feet, that's kind of like saying I can go into my personal truck and put a sign on there, not responsible for bad driving, stay away. Not true. You are responsible regardless of what your sign says. Those companies do that so that you back away from their truck so that when something does fall out, it doesn't hit your car. They're responsible for it, though, because they're supposed to secure that load to where nothing falls out. But they want to skirt that, and the drivers are always in a hurry, so they don't secure it properly. And that's why you have for me, I've followed trucks to their business, got out, and walked inside. You owe me a new windshield. No, sir, it says right on there that I'm not responsible for that. Well, I'm sorry, but you are responsible for what comes out of your supposedly secured loads. So yes, sir, there are things that you can do. Of course, I was a little hot-headed when I did that, and I don't recommend that to anybody. Don't confront anyone, please. The first thing I'll tell anybody is never confront anyone because you don't know what that person's how that person's going to react to being confronted. In a business setting, you're a little safer to go in and say, hey, look what your truck just did to my car. And they are responsible for that, regardless of what signs they put on.
Wow.
And that's something that people need to know, especially in this area, with a lot of gravel trucks.
So keep that in mind. Though it may say on the back of the truck, not responsible for windshields, it's just designed to spook you and not calling them to replace your windshield.
That's absolutely
They are still 100% responsible for their gravel on their truck, just like you are Dr. Pepper cans in the back of your truck.
That's absolutely right.
But take his advice. Don't go confront the driver and get all up in their face and all that. Just notate what company it is, call them, go there, address the matter that way. Be civil about it, use your brain.
Absolutely.
So, last question for you that I have. Is it illegal to put things in dumpsters that are not your own?
Yes.
Even if it's like, I'm standing there with, I just finished my hamburger in the bag, and oh, there's a dumpster, and I don't know who the dumpster belongs to. It's just a random one behind someplace.
Yes, that's illegal. That falls under a couple of different statutes. You have committed an illegal dumping, and it's a theft of service. Whoever owns this dumpster, say it's one of the big dumpsters outside of a business, they pay for that service. You don't. So you just stole service from that company. So it's a theft of service. That's your Class B misdemeanor, along with an illegal dumping Class B misdemeanor. I'm going to assume that your burger weighed less than 5 pounds.
Yes.
So, or your refuse weighed. You're probably at a Class C illegal dumping and a Class B theft of service. So because you couldn't wait till you got to the house, or you couldn't wait till you got to a place that
that is friendly to that.
That's absolutely right. They know you. They've known you for years. They've known you since you were a little kid. You can use my garbage can anytime. Now, let's say in that same scenario, this company that knows you since you're a kid has told you can use our garbage can anytime. And I'm driving, and I see you throw something in. I pull up to you, and I say, hey, do you have permission to use that can? And you say, yes, sir, I do. And I say, well, can you prove it? Sure, come on inside. Yeah, I've told him he can use our can anytime. Okay, just checking, looking out for the business, looking out for you. Have a nice day. I'm leaving. And we have that a lot. We have basically a dumpster diving statute because you got a lot of people who want cans, a lot of people who want to go take as much of that aluminum and metal and copper that they can find and take it over to Lipsitz or any other recycling company and get paid for it. So we have statutes to write people $200 tickets for going into your private cart that you push out to the road. And overall, I try to tell everybody that I come in contact with, and probably a decent way to help wrap this up is that when it comes to your refuse, your garbage, you're responsible for it from cradle to grave. Now, that doesn't mean once you put it into your trash can and roll it to the street, it's still yours until that can comes along or that truck comes along and dumps the can. Mm-hmm. Then it belongs to the city. They take it. Your part's done. If the city were to go down in their trash can or the private company go down and they dump their trash and I come up and it's got your name in it, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to come to your house. I found this in a pile down the road. Yes, sir, the garbage truck picked it up yesterday and this is the company that I use. Fair enough, I'm going after the person who did it. I'm not going to go after you, although your name's on it. But as it stands, you're responsible, cradle to grave, for everything and that's everything that you have.
So sometimes, especially like after rainstorms or something like that, tree branches will fall down and people will come by and say, hey, for $100 I'll chop all these branches. You know, grandma with her car, she can't do it, and somebody comes by and says, hey, for $100 I'll trim up all these tree limbs and I'll take them out to the landfill. And instead they take them and dump them on some random road somewhere, and for whatever reason it can get traced back to grandma.
Sure.
What happens then?
Let's use I'll use this as an example. Let's say an elderly woman, a grandmother, has her husband just recently passed and she can't do as much as she used to. These guys stop by her house. Notice your garage is kind of full. We'll be happy to throw that away for you. We'll haul it off for you. Give us $50. We'll haul it off. Sure. Here's $50. They haul it off. They go 2 blocks down, dump it in an alley, and take off. Well, I get a call from the people who live on the other side of the alley. Hey, someone just dumped some trash. I go check it out. I find grandma's phone or her records, her address. I go to her house. Obviously, I get there. I can ascertain she didn't do it. She didn't have the capability. But I talked to her. So, did you have someone recently haul anything off? Yes, I did. Okay. Who? I don't know their names. Okay, were they in a vehicle? Yes, they were. What kind of vehicle? Oh, it was a truck. Okay, what kind of truck? Not really sure. Black truck. What was the license plate? Didn't get it. Now I'm forced. I'm not going to make her go clean it up, which is the norm. I'm going to make the violator clean it up. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have the city come clean it up. And the city's going to come clean it up. Now I have to do something. I'm forced to write her a ticket. And that's the same for anybody. Wouldn't matter if it's a 90-year-old woman, 25-year-old man. I have to write the violator a ticket, and if I can't trace it to who dumped it, it goes back because of the cradle to grave thing. Mm-hmm. That trash was yours when you paid them to haul it off. If you're going to pay somebody, do your research. If you don't know them, write down their license plate. They don't need to know you have it. But if I show up at your door and you have a license plate, no, I don't know who they were, but this is the license plate of the vehicle they were driving. Ah. Fantastic. That's all I need. You have a nice day. I'm going after them because they did it. They got paid, and that's the other little loophole there in the law. They got paid. They immediately became a commercial entity. If it weighs more than what we said earlier, 200 pounds, it's automatic state jail felony.
Wow. Because
you took money for that, you became a commercial entity. Most garages I've seen cleaned out, a lot more than 200 pounds in there.
That's a good point. It's very important for you to realize that you can pay somebody randomly to help you haul that brush off. But if you don't know that they have properly disposed of it, you don't know who they are, you can be just as culpable as the person who did it. You are, just like we've talked about in our lectures and our labs, you are responsible for your waste. Like he says, cradle to grave. Some suggestions, like he said, write down the license plate of the vehicle if somebody's doing that for you. The second money is exchanged, it escalates everything big time. Or, another idea, have them produce a receipt before you pay them. Tell them to bring you a landfill receipt, because they'll give you one right there at the toll house, in the scale house. When you pull in, they'll give you a receipt. Say, when you provide me with that receipt with my tonnage and show me that it was properly disposed of, that's when I'll pay you. And write the license plate down at the same time, and that's a good way to cover your butt.
That's absolutely right. It always pays to CYA.
Yes, that's right.
You want to be covered in every instance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once it's past you, because you've done everything right.
Yep.
You've talked to the guys that don't know them. I got their license plate. I know that when they headed out, they took up and made a left. I know the direction they headed.
Mm-hmm.
It was two white guys, 6 foot tall, about 180 pounds apiece, and one blonde, one brunette.
Yeah.
You've taken the time to kind of just make a few mental notes. Go ahead and write it down. You're covered. As long as you can produce the fact that, yes, I did take care of it, and yes, I had someone hauled off for me, and here's all the information I got on them. Just be smart. Be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what's going on, because especially anytime there's bad weather, you've got the guys coming out of the woodworks trying to make a buck off of anybody they can. And they don't want to do it right because it may cost them $5 to go to the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
Around the corner is not going to cost them anything, and they get to keep that extra $5.
Yep.
So cover yourself. That's the best thing you can do.
Very much so. Remember, like we've talked about, you are responsible for everything that you do, and ultimately the buck stops with you. So be smart about stuff. Realize that nobody is out to get you, like some sort of paranoia thing, but you need to be smart about it. You need to be ethical. You need to watch how you handle your practices, how you handle your waste. You might not even realize it. Before this lab, you might not have even realized that you were doing something that was wrong. But now that you know about it, you can go about fixing it and making things better. I appreciate your time very much for doing this for me.
Happy to be here.
If you have specific questions that I didn't ask, something that you're asking for a friend, I will be happy to try and field some of those and do my best to get them responded to you. Officer Lee's a very, very busy man, though, so it may take a while. But
I try to stay
we'll do
on
our
top.
best.
I try to stay on top of any email correspondence. It may take me a day or two, but I will get back with you. I don't leave anyone hanging. So, by all means, any questions, feel free. That's what I'm here for. That's my job. So I'm happy to help any way I can.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time very much.
Thank you.
I hope this has been informative for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to message me. Otherwise, get on out there and live that dream and fight that power, because nobody's going to live it or fight it for you. And see you soon.